Imagine a world where the ocean, the place of our deepest modern fears, is the only sanctuary left. Today we look at the dark blue and see monsters. But 255 million years ago, if you were standing on the shores of the supercontinent Pangia, you wouldn't be looking at the waves with dread. You'd be looking behind you. Behind you, in the shimmering heat of a dying world, something with 6-inch sabers is catching your scent. On this version of Earth, the land didn't just have predators. It was an experimental killing field. This is the Lopingian, the era where Mother Nature lost her mind, and the water was the only place to hide. Welcome to the Lopingian Epoch. This isn't the world of the T-Rex. We are millions of years before the first dinosaur even twitched in its egg. This is the grand finale of the Permian period. Geography back then was a titan's puzzle. Nearly all of Earth's land was fused into one colossal mass, Pangia. If you started walking from what is now New York, you could hike all the way to Antarctica or Africa without ever wetting your toes. To the west lay Panthalassa, a super ocean so vast it makes the Pacific look like a backyard swimming pool. But it wasn't just the map that was alien. The moon was closer then, tugging at the Earth with a violent gravity that sped up our rotation. A day lasted only 22 hours. The sun rose and set like a strobe light over a landscape that was rapidly turning into a furnace. So why was the land so terrifying? Because of a vacuum. A few million years prior, a mass extinction had wiped out the old ruling lineages, leaving the throne empty. And the creatures that stepped up to claim it were the stuff of nightmares. Meet the Gorgonopsids. Named after the Gorgons of Greek mythology, monsters so hideous they turned men to stone, these weren't reptiles. And they weren't mammals. They were stem mammals, a terrifying middle ground. They walked with a terrifyingly efficient upright gait, unlike the sprawling waddle of a lizard. The king of them all? Inostrancevia. Picture a predator the size of a polar bear, but built like a tiger. It possessed a long, narrow skull housing two massive, serrated saber teeth. These weren't just for show. They were precision tools designed to find the softest parts of a thick-skinned herbivore and unzip them. Whether they hunted in packs or were lonely ghosts of the desert, one thing is certain. If Inostrancevia set its sights on you, the hunt was already over. But the Gorgonopsids weren't the only ones holding the keys to the kingdom. Across the Russian plains and the South African basins, a biological arms race was exploding. In the shadows lived the Therocephalians. Some were small and sleek, but don't let the size fool you. Evidence suggests some of these creatures, like Inostrancevia, may have been the first animals on Earth to weaponize venom. Imagine a saber-toothed bite that also paralyzes your nervous system. Then there were the crocodile mimics, the Prehistorics. They looked like the alligators we know today, but were more agile, patrolling the riverbanks with needle-sharp teeth. And if you tried to jump into a freshwater lake to escape them, you'd meet the Inostrancevia, giant, 4-meter-long amphibians that function like living bear traps. Now, here is the irony. While the land was crawling with saber-toothed bear tigers and venomous monsters, the great superocean was strangely quiet. For most of Earth's history, the ocean is where the real monsters live. But during the Lopingian, the sea was recovering from its own private apocalypse. The giant buzzsaw sharks like Helicoprion were already gone. What was left? Small 1-meter sharks that mostly ate squid, dying lineages of sea scorpions, scattered trilobites and ammonites. For a brief window in time, the water was the boring place. If you were a time traveler, your best bet for survival wouldn't be a campfire on the beach. It would be a boat in the middle of the Panthalassic Deep. But the relative peace of the ocean and the brutal reign of the Gorgons was about to meet a wall of fire. Approximately 252 million years ago, the Earth began to crack open in what is now Siberia. This wasn't a single volcano. It was the Siberian Traps. For hundreds of thousands of years, the Earth bled lava across an area the size of Western Europe. The atmosphere turned into a toxic soup. Carbon dioxide levels skyrocketed. The planet's average temperature jumped to a staggering 35 degrees Celsius, 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Near the equator, it was even worse. Life simply stopped existing. The ozone layer shredded, bathing the world in lethal radiation. This was the Great Dying, the most catastrophic extinction event in the history of our planet. Over 90% of all marine species and 70% of terrestrial vertebrates vanished forever. The mighty Inostrancevia, the venomous Therocephalians, the armored Scutosaurus, all of them were snuffed out. When the smoke finally cleared, the world was empty. The planet of the Gorgons was gone. But from the ashes, a few survivors crawled out. Small burrowing creatures like Lystrosaurus made it through the fire, eventually paving the way for the rise of the dinosaurs. The irony? The very ocean that had been a safe zone during the Lopingian became a boiling, acidic graveyard during the extinction. In the end, there was nowhere left to hide. The Permian reminds us that nature doesn't just evolve. It resets. It reminds us that for a few million years, the land was the stage for the most terrifying predators the world had ever seen, making the deep sea look like a swimming pool. If you enjoyed this journey into Earth's most metal era, hit that like button and subscribe to Animal Lover Planet. Would you like me to dive deeper into the specific hunting tactics of the Inostrancevia, or perhaps explore the bizarre creatures that actually survived the Great Dying? Let me know in the comments below. Stay curious, and we'll see you in the next era.